my fabulous, fabulous Sonder fam. We were having a time with Zoom this morning. I do not know what happened. So if you were on and then you kept getting kicked off, and then you were on and you got kicked off, like I don't know, but luckily we got it fixed. And then I thought, well, um, since we're kind of in a little bit of a frenzied state, poor Jennifer and I was like, I'm going to do the intro quiz and let people vote on their scale of sea creatures. So I'll give you just a second. If you've got that little pop up there, you can vote on a scale of sea creatures. How are you today? You're either the cranky crab, overwhelmed octopus, calm clam, accomplished anglerfish, or tapped out turtle. Kind of a fun way to do the little scale. Oh, Satari is going to go see Lindsay Sterling tonight. I have tickets for her next Saturday night. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to go because we leave for Spain next Sunday. But who knows? But she is amazing in concert. So fabulous. And I also see our fabulous friend Nicole is able to join us. She's joining from the hospital. Her kiddo is having some health issues. So sending out lots of love and light to her and hope everything's going well and hope the hospital Wi-Fi is rocking and keeps you on. So I'm going to end the poll and I'll show you all what you think. Here, share the results. So we've got, let's see, we've got a good mix. We've got a lot of calm clams this morning, also a lot of tapped out turtles, some overwhelmed octopus, no cranky crabs. So that's good, right? I am very glad to hear there are no cranky crabs with us this morning. So thank you all for playing along, getting ready to set up on this first day of August. Yay. Maybe yay. I don't know. The year is kind of flying by. So welcome. I know we have at least one new person here with us this morning. I think her name was Erica. Welcome. If there's any other new people, you can just say in the chat that you're new. We want to make sure to welcome you. We hope this will be the beginning of a beautiful friendship here in the Sonder Club. So happy that you are joining. I do want to mention there are no microphones or cameras for any of the attendees, so you don't have to worry about accidentally turning your mic on or accidentally turning your camera on. You couldn't even if you wanted to. So all good there. So if there's stuff going on in the background, you don't have to worry. None of us can see or hear it. With me this morning, my fabulous co-host, Jennifer O, coming to us from Texas. Like I said, we had a little bit of issues with Zoom this morning, so we didn't get to go through all the slides with each other like we usually do. So hopefully things will go off. But you know what? We break up with perfect here at Silk and Sonder. So sometimes it's not perfect, but we're here, you're here, and I definitely want to get started so we can, because I know this hour goes by so quick. So make sure you set that chat to everyone. Just note that Zoom, iPhones and iPads have a super obnoxious tendency to flip back to host and panelist. And when it does that, then the only people who see what you write are myself and Jennifer. If that's your goal, then by all means do that. But just know that that's what happens there. And yes, Zoom has added the new feature where you can reply or make a little emoji on specific comments. If you haven't updated Zoom in a while, yours might not do that. So it'll be kind of obnoxious because it'll say things like Maya commented on so-and-so's post, and it does when you comment or you give an emoji on someone's comment, it kind of pops it to the bottom. So I know sometimes the chat can be a little bit of a source of frustration because it kind of gets going. So deep breath, right? It's going to be okay. We'll figure out this new feature of Zoom. Everything will be lovely. Don't let it rattle you, right? Because this is your hour to spend with us and to work on your journal. Do want to mention really quick, and Jennifer will pop the link into the chat, that Meha is going to do another free live on Tuesday, August 18th. Back to school, back to you. I know a lot of us are getting ready to start up the school year. I work for a school district. Jennifer is a retired educator, so she knows the cadence of the back to school. I know we have a lot of educators. Nicole is a teacher. I'm not. When do you go back, Nicole? I know we have lots of folks who are teachers and going back. So August 17th. Okay. So yeah, so this will be great, right, on the 18th. And if you can't attend, just make sure that you register anyway. So then you'll get an email with the link. I saw we also have students, right? We have a grad student. Erica's a new grad student. That is awesome. What are you studying? Super exciting to go back. I love that. Oh, Maggie is the grad student too. Yeah, Maggie, I think is working on her dissertation. Are you dissertating yet, Maggie? I know there's a lot of folks that are either in school or they're teaching. Oh, Erica's going to do counseling. Beautiful. Um, so yeah, so it's just kind of like, woo, it's August, right? um, and some of us are retired from teaching, so you're kind of like, yes, I know that there's school is coming back, but I'm glad I'm not. Oh, Laura's a sped high school teacher. Oh, bless you. That can be a tough one. So anyway, we have a super fun time with Meha. I'll be there in the chat. Meha's also going to be showing you some of the cool new coaching from our Sonder coach. She's going to be kind of demoing that. So super, super fun. So, and just a few community guidelines, making sure this is a safe and supportive space. Yes, Annie, you are not late. We are just getting started. We had a little bit of a Zoom um, stressor this morning, so we are running a little bit behind. So I'll try not to talk quite as much, so you can work on that journal. We want to make sure you're kind and courteous to both yourself and others. No promotions or spam. We respect everyone's privacy. No hate speech or bullying. Limiting those repetitive product and accessory questions, redirecting any customer care inquiries like address change, billing change. You want to change from a monthly subscription to a yearly. Those all go to hello@silkandsonder.com. Jennifer, I don't have access to your account, so we can't fix anything, even if you wanted us to. And remember that these socials really are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community. Our fabulous, supportive, creative, super fun community. Ultimately, though, you're responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So if there's ever anything that we're doing that is just not your jam, you're not feeling it, it's stressing you out, it's making icky feelings come up, do what you need to do, right? If that means muting me, we have closed caption enabled, so you know when we're kind of coming back or what we're doing. Mute the music. Sometimes some people need to hop off and then hop back on, take a little breath, right? Remember, there's no right or wrong way to do this. This is your time, and I want to make sure that you are honoring yourself and your needs. And we need different things at different times, right? So maybe last Saturday you were on a social and it was awesome and you loved it and everything was going great. Maybe today on the social it's stressing you out. You're like, oh, it's a new month, I'm totally stressed. So maybe you just want to sit and breathe and relax and maybe participate in the chat. We have another weekly setup tomorrow evening at I think it's 4 Pacific time, and then we'll have another one Monday morning. We have lots of recordings. Jennifer popped in the link to the YouTube recording. You can always watch that. Just know the chat is not included in that. But okay, so we are doing velocity. Velocity is our theme. And I know for some of us, it was kind of a jarring theme to come up with. We're coming out of savoring and we're feeling kind of slow and kind of mellow. And then it feels like, oh my gosh, velocity, that might be stressing me out. But then we started thinking about it, like, how does this relate to, how does this relate to our self-care journey? How does this relate to, kind of what things feel like? And I liked this little quote about a little reminder for today. The compass came before the clock. Why? Because direction has always been more important than speed. Focus on where you're headed, not how long it's taking. And I think that is definitely something. Oh, Nicole, you're so funny. She said velocity is stressing her out. I feel more like slothcity. Again, it doesn't have to be speed. And I think that's the first place where our mind goes. But I think it's really about direction. And that's what we're going to focus on this month with all of you, with all of our activities, our journaling activities, our mind map. We're going to focus on this idea of direction, right? And that compass, really. So we've got our velocity mind map, and we do a mind map at these at the weekly socials, each week we have a different question to kind of dig a little more deeper, kind of marinate on this idea of what the theme means. And then we're going to do our rosebud thorn activity. And then we're going to do our weekly setup pages. And I always want to remind you, there will not be a bonus one this month. It will just be the 4. And then, because I know sometimes with the way the months go, so the 29th we'll start September's, and then September will have a bonus one on that weekend of the 26th, 27th. So just so you're aware, because, when I rule the world, all months will start on a Monday and we will only have 28 days and we will just have 13 months, and it will make things so much tidier. But unfortunately, I do not rule the world right now. So we have to kind of adjust things. So we're going to set up our mind map for those 4 weeks. I want to remind you of a couple things. There's room for you here just as you are. Yes, April, not yet. Not yet. I'm not ruler of the world yet. So if things are going well, we want to celebrate with you. Let us know. If things are not going so well, if things are a little stressful, you can let us know that too, right? We are here for support. We are here to empathize. We are, here. And then the way you feel matters, and no emotion you feel is bad or unworthy. Nobody can tell you how you should feel. You feel your feelings, and we are here to feel those feelings and to sit with them sometimes. And sometimes that's not fun. Sometimes that's uncomfortable and can be a little scratchy, but that's where the growth happens, right? So, velocity mind map. So when we hear that word velocity, we often think of moving fast, accelerating, or rushing toward a finish line. I know that was the first thing that popped into my head. But really here in our community, we are reframing it. True velocity isn't just about speed, it's about direction and momentum. It's about how intentionally we are moving toward the things that fill our cup and how swiftly we choose to pivot away from what drains us. We're going to focus on a single powerful thing each week to map out our velocity. So grab those colored pens, markers, stickers, set up that page, and let's go. So our question for today. Before we can shift our speed, we have to look honestly at where our compass is pointing. So let's look at the path that we're choosing right now. Maybe it's the path that you're already on, but maybe it's a different path, right? Write down the absolute number one primary direction, the primary thing that you want your life's momentum to flow toward this month, right? So if you want, you can take a screenshot of this so that you can remember. Again, we do have the recordings that you can watch later, but this should be hopefully, maybe it's not quick, but it's something to kind of think about. So I do my mind map on my expense tracker. So that's mine up in the upper left. So that's on page 25. Some people like to do it there. Some people like it on the last page on page 60. Some people use like the weekly scratch pad in each week. And then some people like to use like a blank page, like maybe page 7, that's more toward the front. Do whatever you like. You can see the one that's kind of next to that is they kind of cut out some pretty fun, cool pictures. And I think they use their expense tracker maybe as well to kind of pop those in, put in some fun little stickers. So maybe some areas that you want to think about for this month or where you are headed. Yes, and I will go back and forth between these two so you can get snapshots. So maybe you want to think about your career, your mission. If you're retired, maybe there's still something that you are kind of thinking of in terms of mission, life purpose, mind, well-being, health and vitality, connection and community, space and lifestyle. So for me, it's really health. I really want to be more focused on that. I've been talking about it, but I haven't necessarily been perhaps as attentive and intentional as I could have been. So I really want to focus on that. So the other thing that you can do here is you can open up to August 31st. So find August 31st in your journal. And then make yourself a little reminder, what am I proud of this month? So write down, what am I proud of this month? Because that question can help shape how you spend these next 30 days. 31 days technically in August, right? Because now you're living toward an answer. So that's another way to kind of think about that. You also might want to think about, what do I need to stop doing? And if you've done the monthly setup, you had this where you have, what do I want to stop doing? And what do I need to start doing? Right. So things to think about. But really, what I want you to do right now when I play a little bit of music is to think about what is that direction? What is that area that I want to focus on? So I'll toggle back and forth between these two pages while you work on that. Feel free to share in the chat what you want that focus to be, what you want to look at, and then play a little music, share in the chat, and then we'll come back and we'll keep moving on. Okay, so thanks for thinking of that. Again, it's a small question, but it's a big thing. And it can be something, your direction, your true north for the rest of the year, maybe for the rest of 2026 that you want to focus on. Maybe it's just something you want to focus on for this month and see how it goes, see how much progress you can make. Again, thinking about setting that reminder, what am I proud of this month? And it can be small things, right? Velocity often is made up of small, consistent movements in the same direction. You can be going really fast and just spinning around in a circle and never getting to where you need to go. So that's what we do, right? We're like, okay, I'm going to come up with 7 brand new habits this month. I'm going to do all the things. I'm going to read all the self-help books. I'm going to do a marathon. Right. And you just kind of like, I'm going to do all these things and all this stuff every day and go, 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 go. But really all you do is kind of spin yourself into a circle. You're not giving yourself rest. You're not giving yourself time, and you don't have that kind of tunnel vision, that focus toward the end. So this really is your opportunity to think about that. And if you don't know right away, that is okay. Right. If you do not know right away what your primary direction is, maybe your primary direction is to discover your primary direction, right? It can be something like that, because sometimes it's hard, right? We have a lot going on. I know we've got lots of folks with kiddos. We've got folks with jobs. We've got folks who are caretakers for their parents or for other family members. Um, Sometimes there's a lot going on, and that doesn't mean that you do nothing, right? But sometimes it's just very small little things that will help you, because remember, just like on the airplane, when they tell you to put on your mask first, your oxygen first, and then help someone else, our temptation, especially for women, is to help someone else first, right? And that is not going to work. That only works for a little while until you're completely depleted. So we're really going to focus on ourselves. And again, it can seem like there's a lot, but that's okay, right? We can do this. We can do hard things. We can control our actions. We can control our beliefs. We can control what we're doing. And sometimes small is the direction, the steps that we need to go. So hopefully we've got some ideas. I see a lot of folks talking about health being a big thing, right? And again, especially for me, and I know Jennifer was talking about wanting to make sure that health is that priority, that North Star for her 90-year-old self, right? So a lot of times we want to think about that down the road, that future me, to get help, right? So hopefully you've got some ideas there. And again, maybe you want to work on this all week. Maybe you want to work on this prompt for a longer time and really kind of sit and think about it. And that is absolutely okay. We are going to move on though, because we have a limited amount of time together. So we're going to do our rosebud thorn activity. If you are finishing up the July journal, that's going to be on page 56. And if you had already started in the August journal for this week, that's going to be, on page 30, right? And we always take just a moment to reflect on this last week, the things that went well, those roses, those highlights, those things that made us happy. We think about our bud, that emerging opportunity, that thing, kind of the carrot, right, that's dangling in front of us that we can kind of excited to move forward for. And then our thorn, right? Our challenge, our frustration, that thing that's out of our control that we can't really deal with. And I love this: for the sake of the rose, we must water the thorns, and kind of think about that. Of course, I think about watering the thorns. We have watering restrictions here in Denver because of the drought. So we can't really water the thorns. I can give them a little bit of water, right? So my thorn, I like to start with the hard thing, the challenge. So my thorn has definitely been that it has been super hot out here. And I know lots of places are dealing with that too. All the lawns, all the green spaces or brown spaces, everywhere you go, it's just kind of blah. But I can't do anything about the temperature outside other than come in the house, try to keep myself cool, lots of water, those kinds of things. And then my bud is still that trip to Spain, which is this time next week. I will be getting ready to head out. We leave next Sunday, so still super excited about that. And then my rose, my highlight was the new Spider-Man movie. We went and saw that on Thursday. It was lovely. It was so good. Little sad in some parts, but I thought it was really, really good. We definitely enjoyed it. Very kind of fun to go through. So I'm going to play just a little bit of music. I will let you work on these. Feel free to share in the chat your rose, your bud, your thorn. And sometimes the same thing can be all three. So just know that that's kind of how that is, right? Sometimes it works like that. So I'm going to play just a little bit of music, and then we will continue on our journey. Okay, thank you for sharing there in the chat. Meredith, I need to see a picture of the craft room transformation when that's done. That looks super sounds super fun, right? I need to do something with my craft room. It's kind of gotten a little out of hand. Lots of folks enjoyed the Christmas in July social that Jennifer did on, I think that was Thursday night. Yeah, because I couldn't be there for that because I was at Spider-Man. And if you didn't get a chance to do that, there was a small fee with that. But if you want to watch the video, of course, the chat won't be there. But if you want to watch that video, you can send an email to hello@silkandsonder.com and they can set you up so you can pay for that and they'll send you the link for that. So just know that that potentially is available. So thank you all for sharing your rose, your bud, and your thorn. I think this is such an important moment to pause and kind of think about how our week went. And one thing you might want to think about for next week, if you set that kind of true north, that velocity, where you're going, that compass, maybe focus next week your rose, your bud, and your thorn around that area, right? Around the work that you will have done. And again, it could be small steps, but around what that looks like. So let's dive into that weekly planner, right? And this is going to be in our August journal on pages 32 and 33, right? And I did pop in, so this is a good one to take some little snaps there of some of the fun different little graphics I get from Instagram. So there's an August bucket list there. Maybe you want to kind of do some of those fun things. I love the one that says part with an unneeded item. I was like, ooh, that's probably a good idea. And then a little bit of self-care for August, a little bit of things kind of thinking about what you can do there. So the first thing we look at is that how we want to feel for the week, how we want to kind of show up for others. And I love this quote, and this is something I remind myself of often when I start to make my arguments for why I can't do something. If you argue for your limitations, you get to keep them. But if you argue for your possibilities, you get to create them. So for me, this week, I want to feel the power of possibilities, right? I think it's very easy for us to say, I can't go to the gym because I don't have time, or I have an injury, or I can't afford to go to the gym, right? And you argue for those limitations, and guess what? They're yours, and you don't get to do the thing. But if you argue for those possibilities, so maybe instead of paying for a gym membership, I just go for a walk outside. Or maybe I go to a Goodwill or a secondhand store and find some little hand weights, or maybe some exercise bands, right? Kind of, again, think about the possibilities. Go with the possibilities. We could argue for limitations all day. I could sit here and come up with a million reasons why I can't do something, and then it just feels very heavy. So let's not argue for our limitations. So we're going to argue for our possibilities. So that's how I want to feel, right? So maybe some other ways that you want to feel 1% better. You want to feel happy. You want to feel calm, peace, and centered. You want to feel enough. You want more rested, and feeling more rested and energized, less scattered and exhausted, right? You want to feel loved. You want to feel healthy, right? Really thinking about those things that you want to focus on, that feeling that you want to have, how you want to show up for folks. I'm also going to talk really quickly about the major 3 goals. And I think this is also a really good thing for us to remember. Hard truth that took me years to accept: not every day is a building day. Some days are maintenance days. Some are demolition days. Some are rest days. Trying to build on a rest day just produces bad architecture. Know which day you're in and respond accordingly. So one of my goals is going to be every day to think about, what day am I in? And am I in a building day, a maintenance day, a demolition day, or a rest day, right? What day am I in, and what do my actions need to be to support that day, right? Very important thing to think of. So maybe you want to look back at those intentions that you set. Back on page 9, your monthly habit tracker that you set up, or if you haven't set those up, you can do that this evening. We have a monthly setup. Use that lens of velocity. Maybe it's some no goals, like you want to do no alcohol or doom scrolling. Maybe you want to look at some previous weeks. Maybe you want to set that goal around a single personal challenge, like a fitness challenge or a cleaning or decluttering, self-care, a new recipe, a reading challenge. I know lots of us are big readers. So good thing to kind of think through. And then remember, life is about little joys that add up. So, thinking about those little joys, getting lost in a book, the first sip of tea, a freshly baked pastry, enjoying coffee outdoors, flowers, chatting with friends, using your favorite mug, checking things off your to-do list, right? Some other ways, here's some ways that people have used this section. So you can kind of see those. And if you want to repurpose, you don't necessarily want to set a goal. Maybe you want to do some quotes. Maybe you want to do some podcasts, books to read, ways to get excited about back to school, some songs that you really like, some topics that you want to know more about, some mini recipes. I'm going to go through those. So I'm going to play just a little bit of music here, go through these slides so that you can take some snapshots of these different pictures. Let us know in the chat how you want to feel this week, what those goals are, and then we'll keep moving on throughout that page. Okay, so hopefully you've got that feeling, how you want to feel. You've started to come up with those goals. And also, another thing to remember is you don't have to have three goals. Maybe you want to focus on one goal. I know someone asked about the we Silk and Sonder does kind of like the 31 days of velocity, or they kind of do the theme and they have a little calendar. I have not seen that yet, but I do keep an eye out for it. They post it in Instagram and Facebook, and then I'll usually take a snapshot and pop it in Sonder Club for folks who aren't on the socials. So should be maybe today or tomorrow. It will show up, maybe latest it will show up maybe Monday, depends on who's making it in headquarters and when that's going to get up there. So thank you all for sharing there in the chat. Anna has two goals, one for home and one for health. I think that's a lovely way to kind of set that up. So let's move into our to-dos and then our habits and activities. And again, remember, we forget that baby steps still move you forward, right? And so if you're a knitter or a crocheter, or like a lot of crafting things, you know that maybe if you only do one row or you only do 10 stitches a day, that still is going to move you forward. It might be slow, but it's going to get you to that end goal. So I think that's something, again, important for us to remember. So here's some things that some folks have done. They have some weekly to-dos. So they have for they just have the big letter R, and they have rest, reset, recuperate, restrict, reestablish outlines, routines, not outlines, reestablish routines, right? I think that's a great thing to think of, especially if maybe your routines have kind of gotten off a little bit because things have been a little chaotic. So working on that, maybe you want to set this up in your as two B's. You want to be positive, powerful, productive, and proud. No risk, no fun. They have kind of a fun little set there of different things. Take action, check in with a loved one, check in with myself, make a vision board, take time to recharge. Maybe it's just a straight up to-do list: deep clean the kitchen, the washing machine, dryer, basement sink, desk, dye their hair, different kinds of things to work on. um you have you have plenty of washi tape. I love that. Or maybe this is also a good one: open your calendar, open up your journal, find a random day in the third week of August, or it could be this week, right? And write, go get your favorite coffee today, or take the evening off, you deserved it. Future you deserves something to look forward to. So I think that's a really good idea, as you're thinking of that. Also, we have there's lots of tips and tricks for how to get things done. There's the Eisenhower matrix, and Jennifer will probably pop in a link that you can go to learn more about the Eisenhower matrix, where you make a primary list of all the things that you want to get done for the month, and then you fit it into this little matrix. There's the Pomodoro technique, which is, I think, very helpful, at least for me, to stop procrastinating. So you come up with your task list, you work for 25 minutes, so you set a timer, and then when 25 minutes is up, you can kind of record your progress, then you take a little 5-minute break, and then you go back to work, and then after 4 of those sessions, you take a longer break. And there's lots of free timers and things that you can download, websites you can go to kind of set that up. But that's really helpful for me when I know I need to focus and I'm so easily distracted. Or then you can also set things up like the mustard, ketchup, mayo, and pickles. So mustard are things you must do for the week. Ketchup are some things maybe that you want to catch up on. Mayo, things you may do or you may not. And then pickle, you give yourself a list of maybe some fun things and you pick one of those. So lots of different ideas for how you can set that up. And then our habits and activities, or habities, I had to share this funny little Twitter it's from 6 years ago, but it's still pretty funny, where she says, all of my plans for the future involve me waking up tomorrow with a sudden sense of discipline and adherence to routine that I have never displayed even once in my life. Right? So be careful with how you set up your plans and how you set things up. Yeah, Meredith, right? I feel so seen. Because we're like, I'm going to be the most disciplined and routine. And like, I've never done that. So it's like, maybe be realistic. You want to be hopeful. You want to be, kind of set those actions, but you also want to have a sense of realisticness in there. So our habits and activities, those little habities for the week, things you want to do maybe just a few times this week, you can fill in all the lines. You see there's some people who only filled in 3 lines. One person only did 1 line. Maybe you have some just say no. These have been really helpful for me, deleting emails and also unsubscribing from emails. That can help with trying to stop the impulse spending. If you don't get an email that says there's a sale, then you're less likely to go hop on their site and see if something's on sale. Maybe you want to try to do some unplugging. You want to take some gym classes. You want to, like, 2 days a week, you don't want to have a dessert with dinner. You want to update your gratitude jar, do the daily ritual, all of those things. I do have the August anti-perfection challenge, which I thought was also good. Ambitiously Alexa on Instagram always has lovely things. So here's some fun things to kind of think of. So maybe one of your habits is to do something on the anti-perfection challenge. And by the way, did you know you do not have to do them in order? You could pick any one of those to do on any given day and just kind of use it as kind of a X out bingo board. Maybe you need some no spend activities in August. A lot of us are trying to reel in that impulse spending, especially with the cost of things kind of going up. So there's some good examples there. Maybe you don't even want to use the habits and activities section. You just want to fill it up with some pretty little stickers. Maybe you're going on vacation, so that's like a nope, I'm not going to do that. And remember, sometimes the first step to getting what you want is having the courage to get rid of what you don't. So maybe there's some ways to kind of minimize some of the things that you're doing. So I'm going to cycle through all of these slides while you're working on these two sections, those to-dos and those habits and activities. Let us know what you're doing for those sections, and then we will check in and keep moving on. All right. So thank you for sharing there in the chat those to-dos or how you want to use that little section, that habits and activities. Again, remember thinking about those little steps, right? Break it down into small steps. Doesn't have to be a giant thing. Break that down, get those things done, create that speed and velocity as we move forward. So we're going to do page 33 now. And I know that we don't always give this section a lot of time. I keep thinking maybe sometime I should start with this page and then do the other page, but I feel like the other page kind of sets up the next page. Anyway, I know there's a lot of repurposing that happens on this page, and I'm going to give you some different ideas for things that folks do. The meal plan, big piece of real estate here in the journal, right? It takes up half the page. So obviously you can use it to plan your meals or track your meals. That's kind of what it's there for. But I know a lot of folks say, oh, I already do that kind of in an app, or that doesn't really help me. So here's some other things folks have done. Maybe they track their daily affirmations here, doing their work or school study tracker, right? Again, school's coming up. So maybe doing some school prep, exercise tracker, cleaning plan, gratitude log, mindfulness activities, a weekly favorite thing, a medical condition focus tracker, wardrobe planner. This is what I definitely will be using it for our trip. If I plan out my outfit for each day, then I make sure I only pack those things and I don't have, giant suitcases that I'm trying to drag through. We've got some super fun little kindness quote doodles. Are those yours, Nicole? I love those. Those are so cute, so precious. And then there's an I am and then wins, right? So I am calm when was a low stress day. I am resting and when was stayed up late to watch Godfather 1 and 2. I love that, right? So that's kind of a fun, it's like a little mini journal, a little mini diary of kind of what you did. And then, of course, someone kind of tracking their food. Um, and then I love the one on the left. This Sonder fam member, she lets her husband use this section, and every day he draws a little doodle, and it makes kind of like a little story. So can you see there's kind of like this little box person, and he goes and he puts this little plant down, and then he runs away from it, but then it comes out, and it's kind of like Seymour from or not Seymour, but the Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors, right? So it comes and eats them. And I love, she always has a super cute little cartoon that he does. I told her she should put them all together and make a little book. That would be like super cute. Again, affirmations, cleaning, my weekend reading. Here's some micro habits for a better day. So again, remember those little steps, those small steps. Maybe we're going to drink a glass of water right when we wake up. Maybe we're going to drink less coffee. Don't keep drinking coffee all day. I have to stop caffeine. Hard stop at noon. Hard stop. Cannot do it. So definitely lots of fun little ideas for things you can do morning, afternoon, and evening. A wellness plan. Again, this August is wellness month. So maybe think of different things that you can do for wellness. There's also the rest plan. And here's kind of the idea of the different kinds of rest we need: physical rest, mental, sensory, emotional, creative, social, and spiritual. So I think that's important. Sometimes we think rest is just kind of like resting. Yes, Erica, at noon, I stop. No more caffeine after noon. It really helps with the sleeping. If you have trouble sleeping, and you're, kind of past the 40s, right? I just turned 57. Your body really reacts differently to caffeine. So really, it's a fun experiment. See what happens when you do it, right? So here's some different ideas. Yes, I am 57. I just turned 57. Then we've got our mind body health plan. So I loved this quote where it says, I'm a big fan of the GPS theory. When you've got your GPS on and you miss a turn, the GPS doesn't judge you. Although I will say sometimes her voice sounds a little judgy. It recalculates, right? It'll say recalculating, right? She might say it in kind of a snarky way if you've got the audio on, but it's recalculating, right? It doesn't say you went the wrong way. It's over. You're never going to make it. Might as well just stop now. Just recalculate. So no matter how many detours you take, it finds another way forward. It finds another way to get there. Life works like that too. You make mistakes, but your destination doesn't vanish. The route just changes, right? So think of it that way, with that. And so the mind body health plan might be a really good place to recalculate, right? So recalculating, right? Maybe we want to have some self-care ideas. Maybe we want something I did well this week, some ways I loved others this week. Maybe we want to make a fun little bingo. Maybe we want to think about caring for ourselves, right? Maybe we want to make sure we write down those Sonder socials. Oh, Meredith, you're so good not drinking any caffeine. Don't ever start. Then our shopping list, right? Maybe we want to make a restorative weekend menu, a weekend that gives more than it takes. So for those of us off on Saturdays and Sundays, I know not everybody has a Saturday, Sunday off, but this could be anytime you have days off, right? So take time to be in nature when it's not as hot as the surface of the sun outside. Maybe you want to spend some quality time with loved ones or pets, have a slow and indulgent self-care morning, Do a 24-hour digital detox, enjoy those offline activities, balance restful activities with periods of movement, tackle one home project you've been avoiding, recharge your body with some extra sleep, explore a new hobby or visit an old one, and set those intentions for the upcoming week. So here's some examples of things that folks have done. Lots of bingos, right? This is a prime bingo space, helps kind of gamify those things that you need to do. Maybe you want to remind yourself no unnecessary spending. Maybe you want to stay out of the dollar store. Maybe you want to have some self-care things and things to restore your soul. You've got some chores there, a little packing list. And then that I am loving section is just for whatever you're loving. So here's some examples of some things some folks have written. Silk and Sonder journaling. I am loving me. I'm loving a few weeks without training. I'm loving creativity. One person changed it to I am loving myself by, and then kind of putting that in there, daily rituals. And then I found this super cute little graphic on Instagram that talks about the quiet tools that have outlived centuries. So things like the embroidery hoop, the thimble, knitting needle, straight pin, tatting shuttle, crochet hook, and needle. If you are any sort of a fiber artist, I actually got my husband into embroidery, and he's embroidering this big, it's a map of the US, and he embroiders the trails that he's been on. So like the trips we've gone on, or the trips that he's gone on with his dad, hikes and those kinds of things. And it's super cute. And he's having fun designing his own little logos for different things. So creativity really can help us feel so much better. So I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to play just a little bit of music because we have a short amount of time left. Then we'll check back in and we'll finish things up. Well, believe it or not, our hour is up, and I know it goes by so fast. It is the fastest hour, way faster than an hour on the treadmill, or an hour at the gym doing anything like that, right? So I'm so glad that you're here. I know sometimes folks have to pop off early, so there's never any worries about that, right? You don't have to worry about I need to leave early, I come late, right? You just again, you take what you need. We definitely have the YouTube link. We've been getting them up there really quickly. I think they've got that automated, so the recordings are up there. The chat, unfortunately, is not there. Um, but again, if you need to work on that, this evening is going to be a monthly setup. So that's going to be Jennifer. That's going to be her slides for the monthly. So yes, they will be different from this. And then tomorrow evening is a weekly setup. It will be, I can't remember which facilitator's doing that. It's not me. But those slides will be different. And then the Monday morning will also be different because that'll be Jennifer's. So it will be different. So more slides, more fun, more exciting things. So share those weekly planner pages. My phone is full of screenshots of y'all's pages here. So I always try to kind of put those in there. We love to see them. You never know who you're going to inspire. Just a quick reminder, we do have the Back to School, Back to You. So hopefully you've had a chance to sign up for that special free event. And then for those of you who have the Sonder Coach, they've got the new relationship reading feature in there. So Jennifer's going to pop some links in there. If you don't have Sonder Coach, then there's going to be a link for you to sign up. Beth Ann, if you want the replay of the Christmas in July, but you weren't able to sign up for it initially, just send that email to hello@silkandsonder.com. Tell them you want to get that recording. They can set you up. You will have to pay whatever the cost was for signing up, but then they can help with that. Yes. So have a fabulous, fabulous rest of your day. I will see you. I'll be in the chat tonight when Jennifer's going to be the one on camera when we do the monthly setup. So maybe I will see you then. Take care of yourselves and others and have a fabulous weekend. Take care, everyone.